I don't think God wants people to be poor. Poverty hurts. I mean, I don't like it. And today in the world is this gap between the rich and everybody else. And I know the game of the rich. The game the bankers and the rich play is different than what they teach you in school. And that's the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know, my Poor Dad, PhD, stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. They don't know anything about money. And they're teaching our kids. I'm sitting in this classroom, and my MBA accounting teacher doesn't know accounting. And I'm going nuts. I'm not an accountant, but I knew he wasn't an accountant also. So I took him on. I said, are you an accountant? He goes, I have a master's in accountancy. I said, that's not the question. Are you an accountant? I have a master's in accountancy. I said, you're a fake. You don't know what you're talking about. And to this day, when I listen to what people are teaching kids about accountancy, it's bad accountancy. They count anything of value as an asset. They count your car as an asset, your house as an asset. When it's really taking money from your pocket. Your retirement plan, guess what? It's a liability. It's taking money from your pocket every month. And whose pocket does it go to? Wall Street. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money from your pocket. An asset is a noun, like a house. Cash flow is a verb. So to understand if it's an asset or liability, it takes a noun plus verb. So if the cash is flowing out of your pocket, it's a liability. If the cash is flowing into your pocket, it's an asset. And so long as it's free. It doesn't take millions of dollars to change the world. Just change your words. Thank you very much. The question I want to know is, how do I beat the A students? Because in school, no matter what class I was in, I was always a C student, no matter what happened. I was, how come I'm always a C student? And I never really understood why. So that's why after I was about 27 years old, I started researching education, the system, and all this. Then I realized the whole system was set up for people like me to be in the middle, because what they found out in '83 was that there were 7 different intelligences, Guy Gardner. And I'm not strong in the top 2 intelligence, which is reading and math. I'm a horrible reader, I'm a horrible writer, and I'm very slow at math, but I'm very good with my hands, and I'm also pretty good with what they call intrapersonal communication. There's interpersonal, which is communicating with another person, but intrapersonal is that communication with yourself. And if a person's very good at communication with self, you have a better chance of success. So the way I chunked it down, this has been 30 years, and again, I'm not a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon, is that the way you beat an A student was, I finally figured it out, was that we had 3 parts to a brain. We had the left brain, the right brain, and what I call the subconscious brain. Generally, when we say somebody's good at reading and writing and math, they're generally left brains. So these are the guys that do well in school. That is not me. I can read and I can write, but I read very slowly, and I can count as fast as my fingers can cheat on the single. And the right brain is the creative side. So this is analytical, and this is creative. So the way I solve problems is very simple. The way I beat an A student is, if I run into a problem saying, I don't have enough money, or how do I put this deal together, or how do I get to do this, it's not left brain, it's creative. I go spatial. So people who are artists and musicians and things like this, they're more right brain. They get hammered in school. You know what I'm saying? And then the subconscious mind, this is what they call the reactive mind also. There's a thing called reptilian brain in here. This is primal. This is fight or flight. It doesn't think, it reacts. So when I say to most people, quit your job, logically the left brain goes, oh yeah, I could make a lot of money as an entrepreneur. And the right brain goes, yeah, then I could have my new cookies go out in the market and I could be rich. And then the subconscious mind kicks in and goes, not you. The fear kicks in and all this. Now, the moment that fear kicks in, or greed, it doesn't make any difference, the brain drops, the blood drops out, goes here. The moment the blood drains out of here from the 2 things called the carotid arteries, it pulls down. It goes reptilian. You turn into a little reptile and cannot think anymore. That's for the last 30 years. I've been watching that. So when I talk to certain people, no mention who, I talk to them, they go reptilian on me so fast, I can't believe it. What if I fail? I'm making a mistake. It's too risky out there. Or that's fear. Another one's greed. When the real estate market was climbing, all of these guys who had no business in real estate jumped in. Ah! And the market crashes. Ah! They all jump out. So in other words, they go reptilian. Does that make sense? I call it the lizard. When the sun's hot, they climb around. The sun's cold, they go inside. And they can't think because this is thinking. That makes sense, guys? So the other side of it is, with me personally, there is the battle between the fat boy and the stud. I mean, every single morning I wake up and the stud says, okay, time to go to the gym. The fat boy goes, nah, not this morning. I don't think so, I think I'll have a little chocolate latte and relax a little. Or when I said, I'm going to be rich, and the subconscious goes, not you, you're a loser. You know what I'm talking about here? It's the battle. It is the battle. Constant. And so the battle is between the left brain, the right brain, and subconscious. And for those that know me over the last 30 years, that's all I've been talking about. So I can educate this, but I found out this was the most powerful. It's called the reaction, is the reptilian. So when I say I'm going to go make money, no problem. All three brains line up. It's crystal. I don't have any fear there. But I also learned this in Vietnam. They said, oh, there's a machine gun over there. I go, Roger, Dodger, He goes, left brain, right brain. I'll take that bastard off. There's only one of us is going to go home today, and it's going to be me. I'm going to kill him. But you talk to other people, what if I die? So you better not fly with me because I don't want you in my aircraft. If a person cannot control their subconscious mind, I don't want them on my team because they'll panic, they'll blow it, they won't shoot when they have to shoot, they'll run when they should be going forward, they'll back up and things like this. So these are the whole thing. So in the battle of the human mind, it's all inside of here, as best I can see. So making money is not an issue, going to the gym, big issue. Eating is an issue for me. I'm not addicted to, I used to smoke for 2 years. When I said I'm not going to smoke, stop. I drink a lot, I can stop. I like coffee, I can stop. But the one thing, as I go past a Chinese restaurant, cannot stop. Yeah, baby, here we go. I'd be driving past the Imperial Peking Chinese buffet, and automatically the car would turn right, and I'd be in there, and my left brain would be going, stop, stop, stop. Do I make sense, you guys here? So the discussion today is, can somebody be addicted to being poor? And I think it's possible. And I don't know what it is. And can somebody be addicted to being poverty? Absolutely. Can somebody be addicted to being an employee even though they hate their job? I think possibly. Does that make sense, you guys here? This is a different kind of addiction. So it's really about the battle between all of us, and the way I decided I could win in the real world. Since I couldn't win here, I would never win in the classroom here. Never. There is not a class I would win in because I don't read and I don't write. Terrible. I read very slowly. And I like to cheat. It's called I discuss. But you're not allowed to do that in school. But I'm very creative. I like to draw, paint. I do play the ukulele, But this was my strongest one. It is my intrapersonal skill. It is the handling of fear and the handling of greed. That is what makes me an entrepreneur. I can handle that. When things get frightening, I just turn it around, crank it up. Okay, when the economy's bad, I say, yes, baby, I'm going to kick butt now. The reason I'm going to kick butt is because these guys have lost their nerve. Does that make sense? So right now, as the economy starts to go into a recession, people are starting to panic. This is the time to get rich. But when I talk to most people about a declining economy, they go, and they can't think anymore. They go reptilian. Am I making sense here? So the way to win in the world is by, and this is the book coming out next spring in 2008, is you get your financial IQ up, you need 3 parts of your brain. I grew up in a family of PhDs, so they're highly educated poor people. PhD stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. And that's why I talk about my father running for lieutenant governor, and he lost.
He ran against the governor. The governor fired him and said, "You'll never work in the state again." So I'm in college at the time at the academy, and my poor dad is now broke. PhD didn't help him. And so I'll ask everybody this question is, again, what did school teach you about money? Answer is nothing. That's not a mistake, Vlad. It's part of the Communist Manifesto. And that's why I said earlier, if you read Marx's book, The Communist Manifesto, it's only 50 pages. You'll find out, though, the first things that there was, and this is 1848, Marx says communism would invade America in 2 stages. Stage 1 happened in 1930, it's my opinion, because he was already dead by 1930. It's happened when Columbia University's Teachers College invited in Marxist teachers from Germany. And then I believe, it's my opinion, and I'll take the heat for this, it happened in 2020 when my friend Donald Trump loses re-election to this guy, where in the world is Joe Biden. I think Biden's one of the biggest criminals we've ever had, the Biden crime family. I'm not talking about what he says, what is he doing? And that's why I said to you, is my background is oil. I have a tanker's officer's degree from Kings Point. I understand oil. So 2020, the moment he got elected, the first thing Biden did was cut down the Keystone XL pipeline. I sell oil. I own oil wells. It's a good investment. So I was selling oil in 2020 at $30 a barrel. It went to $130 a barrel within a week. And immediately I knew what he was doing. He was crushing the middle class. They need to wipe out the middle class, Vlad. And that's what Marx said also. So when the middle class is toast, all you have is 2 classes of people, rich and poor. And our civilizations run on oil. Could you imagine if you didn't have electricity or this and all that? Energy is what drives our civilization. And the first thing that son of a bitch Biden did was cut off our oil. And then guess what? He cuts us out of Afghanistan. And when that happens, Saudi Arabia, just look at the facts, not what the guy is saying. When Afghanistan, he pulled us out of Afghanistan, so many people got wiped out. We left $9 billion there or something. And immediately Saudi Arabia, guess who they joined? They joined Russia. So now our price of oil is up. And then Biden tries to buy oil from Venezuela. Watch what he does, not what he says. So, but oil is through the roof because he's a Green New Deal guy. It's killing our middle class, Vlad.
So this comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and these are some of the distinctions. It was the advantage I had at age 9 because I knew what I wanted to work for. And this here, in simple terms, is called a financial statement. In school, they teach you to get a FICO score. FICO is BS. All that means, how good are you paying your bills? That's all FICO means, okay? Should be the FIDO score. Good dog. So this is what your banker wants to see. So when I was 9 years old, playing Monopoly with my rich dad, this is the lesson that's not included in Monopoly, but rich dad taught me. And fundamentally, the problem that most people make, they go to school to get a job and they work here. So this is the poor, middle class, and these guys. And we're going to talk about later, your first line item expense is taxes. Just recently, President Trump said he had a tax cut. He didn't have a tax cut for these guys. As you know, the rules are always written for the rich, okay? I didn't make the rules. You can get angry at me, but these are the rules. The rich make the rules. The golden rule. He who has a gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
So the tax cut went to people here. That's where it goes to. You'll learn more about this later on. But this is what I work for. So what I work for, number one, is I'm an entrepreneur. I want businesses. I have multiple businesses. And I don't work in them, as you know, because you work here. You never see me, do you?
No.
Because I don't work for a paycheck.
Exactly.
Next is real estate. And real estate is good for many things which we'll go into, but number one is debt. I use a lot of debt to buy real estate and I pay no taxes. That's the relationship there. The next is paper. And that's savings, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and that stuff. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't save money. I don't have any of that. But this is what most people have, go to school, get a job, get a 401k and save money. Loser. Okay. I'm doing that just to upset you guys, because maybe you'll start to think. Because I didn't make the rules, I'm just telling you these are the rules. These people pay the highest taxes, and they work the hardest. And the last are commodities, 4 different asset classes. So commodities are, number 1 is gold, silver, oil, land, water, food. So this is what I work for. When I left school, rather than working for a paycheck and working for money, my education had to go beyond getting a job, which I had a good job. But I now had to start, when I left school, about your age, the thing I focused on first actually was commodities. So back in 1972, I started buying gold. And it was illegal for Americans to own gold. You can imagine that. Wow. Back in 72. Today you have Bitcoin. It's different. Okay. Everything is changing so rapidly today. So I started with gold, but actually the next thing was actually oil, because I went to school to be a tanker officer driving ships for Standard Oil. So I understand oil. So my wife and I don't own Standard Oil or Chevron or Exxon. We own oil wells. Again, taxes. You get no tax breaks for owning paper oil, huge tax breaks for owning real oil. Yeah. And then I went into real estate. Why? Because I can use debt to buy real estate. And because I use debt, I pay no taxes. And then third, I started my business, my first real business. I had many businesses as a kid, but my first real business was a nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business. And I went worldwide right away. The trouble is I was an idiot, and the business went up, and the business came down. What kept me alive was this and this. Okay. So you may say, well, aren't you working for money? But we'll go into that next. I don't want what's called a paycheck. I want cash flow. From here. So that's what I mean by the rich don't work for money. You want cash flow that pays very little taxes, and I can use lots of debt over here. The average person who went to school, their biggest liability they have is student loans, of course.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I mean, it's horrible what they do to you guys today. You have student loan, which is the worst type of debt of all, because you cannot declare bankruptcy on it. No. And then you get out, you try and buy a house, and you call it an asset when it's really a liability. Why? Because the cash is flowing that way. Your house costs you money you rent a house, still costs you money. Okay? Then you have to have a nice car. I had one of those. This. So the problem with most young people is they go to school to get that job, then a lot of them have student loan debt, then they try and get married and buy a house, have a car, and then they have credit card debt, but they never have the chance to come over here. If they do any investing in America, it's a 401k, which I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Now, you should, but I don't, because I don't have to. Because I went to school for here, and people who don't go to school should be here. This is a 401k, IRA, ETFs, and that stuff, paper, savings. I don't touch that stuff, and we'll go into that later on. Yeah. Okay. So when I say rich don't work for money, I never wanted to be dependent on a paycheck, either from an employer or the government. I wanted to be a free human being. Another part of your financial IQ is to know there's 3 types of income. So if you're going to say work hard, most people are working hard for earned income, and that's what these guys are working for. The trouble with earned income in America, your tax rate's approximately 50%. Whereas Warren Buffett says it's a shame that his secretary pays a higher percentage in taxes than he did, although he makes billions of dollars. So when you say to a child, go to school and get a safe, secure job, you tell them to work for earned income, the worst type of income. The second type of income is portfolio income. And today, as I speak, and they're trying to change this, it's about 20%. And portfolio income is generally known as capital gains. So if I buy a stock for $10 and I sell it for $50, the $40 gain is taxed at 20%.
Or if I buy a house for $100,000 and I sell it for $200,000, that's a capital gains type event. So you pay a lot of tax for that. And the third type of income, which is best type of income, excuse me, I can't spell again, is passive income. And this is income that just comes in on a regular basis. One of the reasons I am wealthy and is able to retire at a young age is because I worked hard for passive income, not earned income. I don't flip real estate generally, not portfolio income. I don't flip stocks. I want passive income. So today, the new rules of money, it's important to understand what are you going to school to become, ES, entrepreneur or investor, and what kind of income you're working hard for, earned, portfolio, or passive. And if you know what you're doing, you can pay 0% taxes legally. And this can be done all over the world. People say, I can't do it in my country. Well, these people can't do it in any country, but in most parts of the world, governments need these people. So they're always giving tax incentives for investors and business owners who are for passive income. So those are some of the new rules of money. You've really got to know what you're working hard at and what kind of work are you performing, what kind of income are you working hard for.
Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. This became fake, but the economy boomed. Real estate boomed because they were printing this as fast as they wanted to.
Right.
Every time America got into trouble, they printed this.
Can you briefly explain what happens when the government prints a lot of money? Who does it impact and how?
Well, there's inflation.
Right.
So right now, in America, I'm sure it's here too, many people can't afford to eat anymore.
It has become expensive.
Yeah, the homeless people in America, some of them are drugs, obviously. A lot of them just can't afford a house.
Right. Same is the situation in India.
Yeah, because this is toilet paper. And our school teachers will never tell us this because the school teachers are Marxists. They're good people.
Can we tell briefly what a Marxist means?
Taxes.
Basically taking money from everybody to equitably distribute
And they
wealth.
tax it.
Right.
I don't pay taxes.
So
So a capitalist knows how to use debt
right.
and pay no taxes because, hear me out,
Yeah.
this dollar is a function of debt. The only way this comes into existence is somebody has to borrow money. This does not exist. This is debt after 1971. So in 1974, it became the petrodollar. So I made a lot of money in oil. I worked for Standard Oil for a while. And then what happened is economy kept increasing and all this. Then they started pumping all the money into the baby boom generation, into their pensions. These pensions were stolen by Wall Street. It's empty. So you watch in the next few years, you're going to hear more and more from the States. Our pensions are empty. But not what else happened was because my age, baby boomers, were pumping so much money into pensions, the stock market blew up. Housing prices blew up. Bond market blew up.
Right.
Now it's all going to come down. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong.
Okay. So this has been happening for decades now.
I've been studying it for most of my life.
Okay.
Since I was 10 years old. I said, how come I don't have some of this? How come the school teacher doesn't teach me about this?
Right.
Why does my dad always say, go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes, save money?
Right.
Why do that? And my rich dad says, I don't do that.
I had an interesting question here, looking at it from the lens of the government.
Your questions are very good, by the way.
Thank you. So there are two schools of thought, right? One way to look at as a person who is running the country is to ensure the maximum happiness of all the individuals, so equitable distribution of wealth. And the other way of looking at it is, no, not everybody is equal, winner takes it all. And what we've seen over the last decade is that the income inequality has magnified. I saw an interesting stat that around 50 years back, the top 1% of the world controlled around 6 to 7% of the world's wealth.
Amen.
And today, the top 1% of the world controls around 20 to 25% of the world's wealth. So my question to you is that sustainable, or would that, if that income disparity keeps increasing, would the world eventually collapse due to war?
It's always been that way. There's a thing called Pareto's principle. It's called the 80-20 rule.
Right.
So like 80% of the people are poor, 20% are rich.
Right.
There's another rule, I don't know the name, it's 90-10. In America, 10% of Americans own everything. The reason there's such a gap is our schools teach us to work for this.
Yeah.
Go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes,
Yeah.
save money, buy a house, and put your money in the stock market.
Right.
I don't touch any of that. I'm an entrepreneur. I'd rather be like Mr. Tata,
Right.
Who owns the stock market?
Why would you save money when they're printing money?
Because you didn't, I don't know.
Because that's what you've been told to do.
Of course.
So question that. You see, if you cannot think, I cannot help you. I questioned all that. Why would I save money when they print money? That's what happened in 1971 when President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. They can print as much as they like. Then they tell you, so that you go to school, you get a job, you become an employee, you pay taxes because you're working for money. Then they tell you to save money. Do you know why they tell you to save money?
I don't know.
Because the system of banking has nothing to do with communism or capitalism. It's the banks run the world. The rich run the world. They don't care if you're communist or capitalist. So let's say you save $1 US or €1, 1 yen. The banking system can lend out 10. So the entire system is called the fractional reserve system. The fractional reserve system is also printing money. And then they tell you to save money. So they want you to save money so they can lend out your money 10 times. So your dollar became worthless 10 times over. And then they used to pay you 10% interest on your money. Now it's at best 1%. And they're still lending it out 10 times. So that's why you don't save money, is because your money is becoming worth less and less and less and less and less. Banks are getting richer and richer and richer. Then they tax you on that interest they pay you. That 1% interest, if they pay you that much. Japan is 0. And the Japanese are so stupid, they still save money.
We also have 0.
Yeah, and they still save money. How stupid is that? So that's what I would question. So how come that happens? Now, if I borrow money, guess what? Do I pay taxes on debt?
I guess no.
Why is that?
I know
So this is what I'm saying, okay? Question everything.
Okay.
So when they lend out money, that's how money is created. Money is debt.
How do you store value then? Because we all work and we have, let's say, a lifespan of when we are productive. And then comes retirement, and you retired early.
Because I don't follow the go to school, get a job, work hard, save. So that's hypnosis. They hypnotize people into being employees who will work hard, pay taxes, save money, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. Until you question those sayings, those words, you'll be a poor person. So when they lend out them, why is debt tax-free?
I don't know.
Because that's how money is created. And so the banks love it. They love people who borrow lots of money. How do I get rich? I borrow money. And I buy assets with it. The poor person borrows money and buys liabilities like purses, cars, houses, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer. By 2010, I had borrowed $300 million to buy real estate. That made me rich. And the interest rates kept coming down, so that my cost of money kept coming down. And so everybody else is saying, oh, you should get out of debt. You know why? Because they don't question the hypnosis they're under. You've been hypnotized to work hard for money, to save it. The fractional reserve system prints it, and then you pay taxes after taxes. So I have all this debt, and I get rich. So the question is, how do you learn to use debt to get rich? Because they tell you not to get out of debt. So all I'm saying to you is, if a person does not question what they've been taught, they will always be poor. They've been hypnotized into being poor. Then you put it in the stock market, in pensions, right? So let's say I put $100 in a pension plan. When do I get that money back?
Most Romanians don't even dream of getting to pension now.
I understand that. But it's not just Romanians. Please hear, it's worldwide. This is why I think, this is why I work, this is why I teach. You have to question what they're teaching you. I put my money in a pension. I might not ever get it back because they could lose it. So the question I always say is, well, when do I get my money back? And the average person has been hypnotized. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and invest in a pension. And you never get your money back. The whole thing was designed to keep you poor. So that's why I argue with you. Until a person questions what's already been put in their head. And that's what my poor dad put in my head. Go to school, get a job, work hard. And that's America. The same as Romania. It's not any different.
We used
Save money, put it in the stock market. you never get your money back.
We all look up to the American dream. Is it all fake? I'm coming down to your book now because...
No, please let me finish, okay?
Okay.
Until you question what's already in your head, you will do what's already in your head.
Okay.
There is I don't know if people are Christian or not, but it's in the Bible, it goes, the words become flesh. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest in the stock market, buy a house, buy a car. Until you question that, you're hypnotized. You'll be a poor person all your life.
So I own 7,000 rental properties. Those are assets. Every month, the cash flows in. Whereas many people have the big house on the hill and the cash is flowing out.
Right.
And they're going broke. See, there's three kinds of income: earned, portfolio, passive. So earned income is if I get a job, that's earned income. If I'm a doctor or a programmer, that's earned income because I'm working for it. If I buy, let's say, Apple for $10 and I sell it for $20, that's portfolio income, capital gains.
Yeah.
But passive income, which is cash flow, is never taxed. The people that are being screwed today are the poor and middle class because they work for money. You know, the banker friends, they're not working for money.
They have money working for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Very big difference in mentality here. You know, money is, the financial industry is two things: debt and taxes. And we still tell kids to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and get out of debt. Now, who tells them to do that? That's the most ridiculous thing there is.
The book starts and it says, lie number 1, saving money will make you rich.
Yeah, it never will. Why would you save it and why would you work for it if they can print it at faster than you can work for it? Our schools will never teach you that. The way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is never teach them what the rich know. They don't want what we know out there. So that's why fake is fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. Question I ask all over the world: what does school teach you about money? And the answer is nothing. They know nothing about money. And they teach our kids.
The thing with Bitcoin is this: it's like anything. It's not when you sell, it's when you buy it. You know, my rich dad, your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. I don't sell any of my properties. I sell nothing because then I have capital gains tax. So with Bitcoin, it went up to 20,000 and I watched it drop down to, I think, 1,000, let's say. At that point, it became a technical trade. There's fundamental investing and technical trading. When I saw that thing start climbing back up, I said, I watched it at 6. I think 6 is the number. So I backed up the truck on 6,000. So today, I think Bitcoin's what, 20,000?
Bitcoin's at 23,000 now, but it got as high as 60,000 at one point.
Yeah, but I don't buy at 60.
Right.
I bought it at 6, and I bought a whole pile of it. Same as I buy gold all the time. I don't save dollars. I save gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And I don't just say I like the stuff, but it seems to hold its value. Buffett called Bitcoin rat droppings or something like that. You know, I'm going, well, he's a stock guy. Grant Cardone buys apartment houses. You don't have to buy apartment houses. You can buy a bond, and bonds are going down right now. Do you know what I mean? You just got to be smarter. I don't have bonds, by the way. But anyway, there's so many things you can buy, but the biggest question is, how smart are you with your money? And what does school teach you about money? Nothing. And you wonder why school teachers are broke? Because they don't know nothing. My whole family are school teachers. Good people, nice people, Marxist, but good people. I don't care if you're a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, or Israeli. I don't really care. Just show me the money, as that show says.
Yeah, I actually found the quote. Warren Buffett said cryptocurrencies basically have no value and they don't produce anything. They don't reproduce. They can't mail you a check. They can't do anything. And what you hope is that someone else comes along and pays you more money from them later on. But then that person's got the problem. In terms of value, 0.
Hey, look, I'm not saying it's not a smart dude. He's a very smart dude, you know. But
yeah,
you can listen to Grant Cardone also. You can listen to me. You can listen to Dave Ramsey, who says live debt free. You got to choose your teacher.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. Like when I was in Sunday school, I was like 8 or 9 years old, and the Sunday school there was a young teacher. This is in Hawaii, and she said, "Why were the 3 wise men wise?" And I said, I raised my hand, you know, it's about 8 or 9 years old. I said, because they were rich. And she goes, why do you say that? You know, because in church, what love of money is the root of all evil. So she said, why do they say they're rich? I said, because they're rich. And she goes, why? So they had gold, frankincense, and myrrh. You got to be rich to have that stuff. And she shakes her head because this violates every one of her Christian values about the love of money is the root of all evil, right? She says, no, they weren't. That's why they weren't wise. I said, so tell me why. So one of the most valuable lessons my little Sunday school teacher taught me. She says, because they always sought the best teacher. And for them, it was Christ. For many of my family, it's Buddha. You know, the Muslims, it's Abraham. I mean, Jews is Abraham. For other guys, it's all this. In real life, seek your teachers. If you listen to a school teacher about money, I'll pray for you tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You want to listen to Warren Buffett? Listen to him. So all the rich guys who are doctors and lawyers or those guys, they're getting creamed. And they don't know why.
Doctors are getting creamed.
Oh, yeah, they're making more money, but the take home is less.
Sure.
You know, my doctor just yelled at me. He was happy. He says, oh, guess what? I finally made $1 million. And I said, yeah, this was just 3 weeks ago. And so I said, yeah, well, how much you pay in tax? This is 2014. He says, $750,000 in taxes. So his net was about $400,000. That's not bad. But when I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't invest in the stock market. So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay 0 tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invested in real estate and I have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks. But the banks are screwing everybody else, you know, terrible. But it's good for me.
That's why you say when you print, it's good for you, but when you print, it's bad for people that work for money.
Because when you print, savers get creamed and people who work for money get creamed. When they print, debtors get rich. You see, debt and taxes make the rich richer, and debt and taxes make the poor middle class poorer. And that's what I cover in this little book here. See, when you look at history, anytime a country printed, they corrupted the money supply. The empire collapsed. So the Romans tried it. And it was called debasing the currency. Debasing means they took a silver coin and they mixed base metals like nickel and copper and those things inside. America started doing the same debasing in 1964. So when you look at our silver coins, you know, in 1963 they were pure, not pure silver, they were silver. And in 1964 you go, oh, what's that little copper tinge there? That's debasing. So throughout history, anytime a government has debased or printed their money, the economy eventually collapsed. So the Romans tried it, you know, Zimbabwe did it, the Germans did it, Milosevic did it, China did it. So every time they print money, history will tell you the same thing.
If we know it, why are we printing money?
Because people don't understand history.
Who are the people that don't understand? Our politicians don't understand history, or the voters?
They don't teach you this in school here. So people can look at the charts, you know, so you can have, they can look at the charts, but they don't know what they're looking at. You know, I was going for my MBA, and I had to drop out because it was getting pretty ridiculous. Because I kept telling the professor of economics, I said, "You don't know what you're talking about." You know, and you don't get good grades. You don't get good grades, you're out, right? So I decided, well, I'll avoid the rush and resign now. But what they teach you in school is BS. It's watered down. It's not appropriate for the real world. It's good if you're going to be an academic like my poor dad, and you have all the facts and figures, but they can't do anything. Like the unemployment figures are complete lies. You know, Obama says they're at 6%. I'm not political, I'm not Republican or Democrat. Obama says they're 6%. This guy, John Williams, who's called the shadow stats guy, he says the real unemployment is 24%. So
It's a big difference.
Yeah, so I asked him, so what happened? How did you come across this? And John Williams was an economist. He was working for Boeing or Lockheed. And he kept applying the government unemployment and government stats to Boeing's numbers, and nothing worked. So finally he realized, which I realized in Vietnam, we're being lied to. Our numbers are bogus. They're not true. So that's why I started writing this book. And now I said your house is not an asset, savers or losers, the rich don't work for money. That was 1997, 2015, they're coming true. So second chance is how I came to my assumptions and conclusions. I just don't trust the market because it's so manipulated. I mean, I'm not saying, that book on fake money, fake teachers, fake assets, the Dow. This book, Who Stole My Pension, I write about what is America's #1 export. Do you know what it is? Toxic assets.
Toxic assets. Toxic assets.
CDOs, MBSs.
Yes.
Derivatives. And so what is it today? Wall Street just looted the pensions. So this book, Who Stole My Pension, it's like I said, my co-author is an SEC attorney. And he got sick and tired of seeing all these bankers loot the pensions and get paid bonuses. And then the labor union guys who manage the funds get paid bonuses. And the guys who manage it get paid bonus. Meanwhile, the workers get screwed. So when this next crash comes, it's going to be horrible. Now you look at the other guy. So there's two authors, Ted Siddell, SEC attorney. His father was a CIA operative in Uganda, and Idi Amin killed his father. So his family went broke because there was no body. He couldn't collect anything because no body, no corpse. Whereas my father ran for political office against the governor of Hawaii, and he got crushed. And the governor says, "You're no job, no paycheck, no pension." So my old man's broke. So Ted and I were about the same age, and we come back. He said, "My father has no money. My family's starving. My family was starving because my father lost everything." So it kind of put us on edge. You know what I mean? I don't trust my government. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I like Trump, but they can't save me. Trump, Biden, Sanders. I mean, it's a cast of characters, right? You got the Donald on one side, and then you got Comrade Sanders, a commie. And then you got Pocahontas. And then you got Alfred E. Newman, Buttigieg. It's a reality TV show up there. You're counting on the government to take care of you? I mean, wake up.
So you don't at all look at it as they have an effect over your net worth or your next moves?
No.
So you're...
That's good. You want to make sure that no matter who's in office or if it crashes, you're okay. That's the most important thing you can do.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, of course not. They don't affect me at all.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, I'm not a stock guy, that's why.
Okay.
So I'm a real estate guy.
So for you,
I own businesses. So the Rich Dad Company does better in a crash. And apartment houses, they always do well because people have to have someplace to live. And I own oil wells because people are always burning oil. I always protect my assets that they're crash proof. This here is the genesis of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. How does a person like me who flunked out of high school because I can't write an international bestseller? It's been a bestseller list for 25 years all over the world. So this is where the book started. This is a man named Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. He's probably more well known for the geodesic dome, and he's considered one of the greatest geniuses of our time. 1981, up in Kirkwood, California, I studied with him, and we spent the summer studying and all this stuff. And one day, Bucky Fuller asked me, "What's your life's purpose, son?" And I said, "To make a lot of money." And how was I to know that that was the worst answer possible? So he started scolding me in front of 100 people. It's a waste of a good brain just to make money. Well, easy for you to say, but I enjoy making money. He says, "A waste of a brain." And I went to argue with the guy. Everybody's saying, the greatest genius on earth is here. John Denver worships the guy. The world worships Bucky Fuller. And I want to argue with him. So my friends were telling me to shut up. So finally Fuller asked me this question. He says, "Stop doing what you want to do. Ask yourself this question: what does God want done?" And he says, most of the young people are too greedy. What do I want to do? He says, who cares what you want to do? The question is, what does God want done? So this was August 1981, and that was the genesis for the start of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Are you prepared for the coming depression? And the reason that's an important question is throughout history, there have been two different types of depressions. And most people, especially in America, are only familiar with the American-style depression. But during the same time America was going through their depression in the 1920s and 1930s, the Germans were going through their own style of depression. So America had a real depression caused by deflation, and the German depression was one caused by hyperinflation. So there were two different types. And the question is, are you prepared for either type?
And so if you read chapter 4, you will soon find out that some people, if they're preparing for an American-style depression, may get cleaned out, especially this. Just the other day, I believe it was around March 15th or 16th, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke announced he was going to pump $1.2 trillion into the economy. That's on top of the TARP money. Now, this is the significant part, and you'll find in Chapter 4, Conspiracy of the Rich. The significant part is this, is the way he's going to do that is he is going to buy treasury bonds from Geithner. So these guys are getting back together, and they're just going to, so the Fed will buy the bonds from the treasury. This is significant because in a normal economy, the treasury offers a bond, and countries like China or Japan or the European nations buy the bond. The Fed stays out of it. As long as they buy the bond, then that money filters into our system. And and also private investors buy T-bills and T-bonds and all that. So it's a normal situation. The significance of this month, March 2009, of Bernanke basically saying, I'll buy the bonds directly from the Treasury, that is a direct indication that they are printing trillions of dollars now. Now, by printing trillions of dollars, that means we're probably going to go to a German hyperinflation style of depression. So anyway, my question is, I'm not saying there is going to be one. I'm not hoping we are into one. But I'm saying, the question I'm asking you, are you prepared? If we go into an American-style depression, then savers will be losers. If we go into a German-style depression, then debtors will be winners. So it's very important right now, while we still have some opportunity to make some prescriptive or make some changes in our lives, it's time to get prepared.
Financial IQ is how we solve our financial problems. And that is our message to people today, is that in a world of tremendous financial problems, it really is an opportunity to get smarter, to solve your problems and not run away from them. So it's really a good time, a tough time. Like you say, we don't want to go through them too many times. But when I lost everything in the 80s, I thought the world ended. But in retrospect, today, it was a good thing I didn't declare bankruptcy, paid my creditors back, and fought back. I think that gives me strength today to take on this one.
But I feel, and I know that you feel, that you can do better today than you could have done 2 or 3 years ago.
Absolutely. When, the last crash was that savings and loan crash in the 80s, and the stock market crash of 87. And it was the best time because everybody was crying the blues. Everybody was saying, are you nuts? You're buying real estate? And that was when the RTC, Resolution Trust Corporation, they were giving away the best real estate in the world. And other people were saying, these are terrible times. I'm going, you gotta be crazy. I've never seen good property so cheap. Like you said, the banks wanted to have you take it off their hands. So it was really a good time. We're in the same time now, and people again crying the blues.
Except today, I think it's a lot more severe.
Yes.
The banks are bigger, they're much weaker. It used to be the savings and loans. Now it's the biggest banks in the world. You look at Citibank, it's a total catastrophe. You look at some of the biggest banks in the world, they're total disasters. I mean, they've got major, major problems. We never had that in 1990. We never had that. So this, you could say, is a far worse, and statistically, it's a far worse period of time. But I think there's far more opportunity.
That's correct. I have never seen it so good. Unfortunately, it's bad for many people. And again, that's why I'm saying we get together and we want to encourage people to keep going. Don't give up, because you faced your challenges, I faced my challenges, and it's facing the challenges that make you smarter, stronger, better able to handle tomorrow.
So that's how you get rich. It's what you buy, not how much you make. And the other thing I talked about earlier, this is a solid gold watch. The price of gold is going up. The watch gets more valuable, as well as the ring and all that. Again, it's what you buy more than anything else. You got to be cognizant of that. And then this jacket here, I'm very proud of. It's an antique. It was a guy named Tanault of China. They were the first Americans to go into Southeast Asia to fight the Japanese, the P-40 Flying Tiger. So this is a Flying Tiger with emblem here. This is an antique. This jacket is so heavy, it just shows the quality. So this is like a 1930s jacket. And I wish I knew the pilot who owned this jacket before. So rather than buying a regular jacket, I paid $15,000 for this one. because it holds its value. And that's the difference between people who are rich or poor. Most people here are just spending money, but they don't get rich that way. And I know it drives people crazy. Oh, you've got to enjoy yourself. I am proud of this jacket. It's because of the Flying Tigers and Chennault of China that I volunteered to go fly in Vietnam. So all these things have value, and its meaning adds richness to life, because I'm very proud of this jacket. It's an antique. It's a collector's item. I mean, I've had old guys come out to talk to me about it, and they go, wow, is that really one? Oh, yeah, it's one of his jackets. So that's some of the lessons I have. But then again, I'm very happy my friend Trump won versus the Biden crime family and Kamala Harris. They were pure hardcore Marxists, and we'd be in worse trouble. But I'm concerned about my friend. A lot of people really hate him. Trump derangement syndrome, they called it. They wanted to take him out. So Trump also owns golf courses, as you know, he plays golf. I was just at his place in Florida. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what makes people richer. Now, some of you are saying, well, I don't have that kind of money. Well, that's what you study for. You study how to make money, but the reason they don't make money is they just spend money. They buy what they want, and they don't look at the value. The value of this watch is going up right now instead of going down because it's a solid gold Rolex. And that's the difference that makes the difference. I want you to see this golf course here. It's spectacular. I love these people here. They're cash flowing money into my pocket. So that's why we get rich. My friend Kenny McElroy and I were real estate guys. And there's always a bubble, a boom and a bust. So just before 2008, the great financial crisis, all these guys were yakking about it and all this. Kenny and I just waited. When the whole thing came crashing down, I think I borrowed over $100 million to go and buy the best real estate around because it was on sale. I'm afraid December 12th, I think, 2024, we're heading to a huge crisis right now because, like I said, Trump won, but they didn't address the problem that started back in 2008. And what they did was they just printed trillions of dollars. So Trump didn't say anything about it, and Kamala Harris didn't say anything about it. But America is now the biggest debtor nation in world history. So how do you get rich with that? That's why I've always said buy gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So today I'm doing my best to buy more Bitcoin and silver and gold, because the dollar is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, but that's how you get rich. So other people are crying and saying, oh, the economy's bad and crashed and all this. Other people who have some degree of financial intelligence will know this is the time to get rich. So as you guys know, unemployment is going through the roof right now. I think Amazon and those guys are letting people go. And it's because people go to school, they say, I want a job. Well, you should learn about money instead. So a very interesting time to be alive. And I trust my friend Trump can pull it out, but it's going to be a biggest crash in history coming up. The rich will get richer. I want you to get richer too.
I've heard you say before, the bigger the crisis, the bigger the opportunity.
Oh, that's the bitter.
No.
And you raise $5 million right now, my friend? No. Well, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Don't go with these cliches on me. Just show me the fucking money. I hate that people give me cliches. Right now, I can write a check for $5 million. How much can you write a check for?
Not $5 million.
So that's the difference. So I'm always preparing for it. And how am I buying Bitcoin was ever since 1964, I've been saving silver. So right now, I'm trading in my silver to buy more Bitcoin, because the silver I was buying was at 10 cents an ounce. Today it's $30 an ounce. So the dollar went down, the price of silver when gold went up. So now I'm going to trade that for Bitcoin. But that's the difference here. So a lot of people have all these cliches and they're fucking jerking me off out there going, how much money have you got, man? Show me the fucking money. And that's the difference. That's why I created my cash flow board game. That's why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was just in Uzbekistan 3 days ago. They have a whole school there in Uzbekistan with a room dedicated to the cash flow board game so they can teach their students about money. But do you think they do that here in America? No, because most school teachers in America are hardcore communists.